Hello, this video is about installing a SanDisk Extreme 2, or basically any SSD. Now this is a 480 gigabyte. It says 6 gigabits per second, but I'm going to be installing it into a Intel 3 gigabits per second, because I would rather have an Intel I would rather have it connected to an Intel controller than a Marvel controller. Anyway, I bought this on Cyber Monday and I got a very good deal on it. This is basically how small it is. This is 3.5 inches right here. And you see it's very small. This is for a desktop computer. It does come with this little spacer if you need it, and basically these are stickers which you pull off, and then you can attach it to this if you need to have a spacer to keep it from rattling around. For example, in a laptop, but I will not be using this for a desktop. This right here is what you need if you want to install it into a desktop. Now, this is a Silverstone. It's a 3.5 inch to 2.5 inch bay converter. It comes with the screws, instructions. Basically, really the only thing that you need is to know which direction to install it in, and there it is right there. Now, my desktop computer has a tray, which I will show you later, and the tray uses these holes on the bottom, the holes on the bottom, and I'll be using those. And I'm not going to be doing a fresh install. I'm going to be transferring my OS from my Windows 7 OS from the hard drive to the SSD using Partition Manager 11. You boot off this into WinPE. Then you can run Partition Manager 11. And before I install this, I did a lot of research. That's what took the longest, and also I deleted a lot of duplicate files, personal duplicate files, which took a long time. And also I ran the command to check the trim status: fsutil behavior query disable delete notify. Okay, and a lot of people talk about this command right here, and this is the result, which is correct. That's what you want, but this is actually, this result here in Windows 7 is basically the default behavior, and so this is really standard from this command in a command prompt, and you'll need an elevated command prompt administration permission, but you'll get this anyway. This is default. Now what you have to worry about are is the controller that is connected to. What you need to do is you're worried about the controller that is connected to, and also the drivers, because the drivers and the controllers are what can interfere with the trim command. And you can look it up what the trim command is. I'll let you do that. And so this has a standard. I'll take this cover off later, but it has a standard. I'll go over that again. It has a standard. It has a standard SATA connector and the power SATA connector. Those are basically standard. And so you won't need to do anything special there. When my computer has been running for a long time. This is my desktop computer. As you can see, it's very dusty, and that's a lot of dust in there. See? And so I'm going to clean that off. It's all over the place. Usually, I used to run it with my filter, this is a filter which goes in the front of this desktop. It goes in the front right there. You take this cover off, and then you put this in there. I made this and I had a tailor do all the sewing, and it basically goes right there. I just didn't run it. I should have, especially during the winter time when it's cool anyway, because it does tend it goes right in front. I put these dots here so these fans don't hit the filter. These little double dots, I double deckered them right there, and it fits right there. The filter goes basically what you do is you get this cover, this is the front cover, and I just kind of fitted it in. See right there? Actually goes the other way. I made a paper fitting, and then I cut these this is from a screen, a window screen, 2 pieces of a window screen, and in between there, the window screen mesh, and then in between is a standard cheap hardware store air filter. And I had the guy, the tailor sew. You see the lines there where it's sewn. Right there, the red marks are where I told the guy to sew it, and it goes in there. Because the reason why I mention it, because the systems, typical desktop systems, can get very dirty. You see right there, that's extreme. See all that dust there? I'm gonna have to clean out my system first. It's really incredible. It's really incredible how dirty that is. So I have to do all that first. And on special, now this is the drive I'm going to replace, right there, and this drive and this drive. These are all identical. They're not rated. They're just JBO D, I think it's called. Just a bunch of discs. There's 3 of them. And in order to clean it, I use a little dirt devil with the attachment, and then I use this, and for the fine work to get in there deep, I use this. I tape this at the end and then with a straw. So I'm going to clean this up, and then I'm going to pull this one out, this tray here, and then I'm going to attach the SSD. I'm in the process of cleaning my system out. You can see there's a lot of dust there. This is the CPU fan. That's the CPU fan. It's held on by these clips. It's very easy to take off these 4 clips. And so far I've been cleaning everything out. That's part of whenever you do an upgrade, you probably want to clean out your system, your desktop system, because a lot of air runs through it. You can see right there. I'm going to be cleaning this off. I might have to use compressed air and the vacuum cleaner at the same time. And I already cleaned off some of this with this attachment right here. With this attachment. So I cleaned off some of it. Whenever you do an upgrade for your system, you probably want to clean it out, because usually a desktop system runs a lot of air through it, and you want to get all that out. And I will probably put the filter in there the way I should have. It's pretty dirty in there. I already cleaned out some things. I already ran the vacuum cleaner through here, so I'll be cleaning that off. And when I'm finally done with that, I'll do as much as I can. It's difficult. Don't be when you use an attachment like this. Be very careful not to hit the electronic components, otherwise you may damage them. So I couldn't do too much short of removing every single component and using compressed air on them. That's pretty much all. This is pretty much all I can do. So you can see the hard drive still has a lot of dirt in it, and I'll probably end up having to leave that. Otherwise, it will run okay. I won't have any problems with it. So the next step is to do a little more vacuuming, and then to finally take this out and to put the SSD on it. Okay, so it's installed, and you can see that the SSD is the SSD is right there, and it uses a standard SATA data connection and a standard SATA power connector. And here's the bracket that I showed you before, and those are the 3 drives. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up the computer. Right now this is just a blank SATA drive, and I'm going to boot up the computer into Windows using as normally. This is the normally this is on an optical drive, but I just disconnected the optical, and I'm going to boot normally into Windows 7, and I'm going to let Windows 7 load the drivers for this, and then I'm going to boot. I'm going to boot into the Windows PE with the Partition Manager. As you can see, also I did a lot of cleaning, which actually took the longest. Installing the SSD was actually quite easy, but I didn't want to install it into a dirty system, so I cleaned everything. There was some cat hair there, right there, and you'll see here that the fins for the Cooler Master heatsink are very clean now, and I put everything back. Be very careful if you do this. Be very careful. Don't push this around. Don't push the Cooler Master around. Okay, and don't damage when you're vacuuming. I vacuumed with this right there. I vacuumed with that. Okay, this is just a straw tape to this, and I've been doing this for years like this. And don't touch any of the components when you do that. Also I used this standard one, and I got in there I got down there, got there and there, and clean everything up. The cleaning actually took much longer than I thought it would, and it took longer than installing the SSD. SSD was actually very easy, and also the now this Cooler Master was very dirty, and you have to be a little creative so you don't have to take it out. If you want to clean all those fins in there, down there, those fins for the Cooler Master in there. So so what I did was I just got one of these, and I bent it into a 90-degree angle. Okay, and then you see right there, and I went in there, and at the same time I turned this on to suck all the dust out, but it's not 100% perfect, because the dust will escape and blow all over the place, and blew all over my desk and everywhere. So I'll be cleaning that up for a while. So you have to go in there like that and clean everything out, and at the same time use this to suck it out on the other side. So okay, so now I'm going to start Windows, and I'm going to show you what happens when you do that. Okay, it's booting up, and this is an Asus motherboard. I've had to buy the previous generation in March of 2011 because Intel was having their SATA problems, so I ended up getting the P7 generation instead of I think it's P8, and I ended up getting a Intel i7 870 instead of the 2600. So it's good, but as long as this works, I really don't have any problems with that. And it's going through the memory scan, and while I'm explaining this, but so I'm gonna stop that, and so now, okay, so it's just picking up on the 2 hard drives. Okay, now this screen is important because it gives, this is one of the pre-boot areas where you can get the revision for the revision number for the firmware. As you can see, this is the Seagate drive, the #1 drive, which has the OS on it. That's the firmware revision. That's the latest, the C49, and it's SMART capable. And here it is. Here's the this is the SanDisk SSD, and you see here the revision number is R1311. And I was not expecting that, because their website their website says that the R211 is supposed to be the latest, so obviously their data is wrong, and I'll see that is a different number than I was expecting, but it's SMART capable, and the motherboard and controller, the Intel controller, just did a SMART check on it. It's okay. Same thing with that one. So let's. I'm probably going to have to install the SanDisk utility to find out if that's the latest firmware revision number, because their website doesn't even give the correct number. So it's gonna boot. I'm gonna make it boot, and I'm not gonna have you wait for this, so I'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, it just sensed. I probably missed it. Here it is. It's sensing the SSD. It's looking for something or other, but hopefully it won't give me any problems. Anyway, so it does say installed. I think it just kind of stuck there. I don't know why it does that. But I'm going to close this. I don't think it's actually doing anything. I think it's just kind of stuck there. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to just shut it, close it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the SanDisk's utility to find out if it has the latest firmware. It may or may not. So I'll be right back. Okay, this is the SanDisk Toolkit. I just installed it, and as you can see, it did correctly. I started it, and it did correctly sense the SSD, and there you see again their firmware revision number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and there, see it says it's trim capable, SMART capable, and the rest of it. And so even though I mentioned the motherboard before, even though this is SATA Generation 3, the Intel controller only has SATA 2, but it doesn't really matter because it's not going to really affect me that much. So here I'm going to take a look, and I'm going to check for updates. So we'll see. No firmware information for this drive. So I guess that means it's no. Now, so now so that means I guess there's. I guess that means that there's no updated firmware in here. Overall firmware state passed. So it did a firmware a SMART check. It did a SMART check, and everything is okay. It did a SMART check. Everything's all right. So this utility is not really as good as the Intel utility for their SSDs because the Intel utility has a manual trim command which allows you to run a manual trim to see if the drive is getting the trim command and if it's working. And that's something which took me a long time to figure out if you can do a manual trim command to make. You don't have to do it more than past. You don't have to do it past the first day that you install it, because all you want to know is the drive, is the SSD getting the trim command, is it executing it. That's why you want to be able. You want the utility to have a manual trim command, and that's it. Just to make sure it's getting it, because unless you have a special utility, you really don't know if it's actually getting it or not. But so you kind of have to assume, yeah, okay, it's getting it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now I'm going to reboot using the CD into Partition Manager, and I'll show you how that's actually very easy to transfer over, and hopefully everything will work smoothly. Okay, so this is the Partition Manager 11 Professional, which I booted off this CD. This is not Windows 7. This is off a CD, and you don't want to do this in Windows. You want to do this off a boot CD or a flash drive. Either way, it's the same speed. The boot speed doesn't matter if you use a CD or not. And there it is right there. That's the SanDisk right there. And what I'm gonna, and you can see there, the SanDisk is completely blank. It's 447.1 gigabytes. It says it's sold as a 480, but that's really what it comes out to. Now I'm not going to use all that, and you're really supposed to use. You're supposed to leave about 15. Do they tell you to leave about 15% at the end of the drive empty, blank? Instead of creating a full partition. Although most people just create one partition. As you can see, this is the blank part of the SanDisk, and these are the other drives. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these three partitions. Okay, so this one I'm gonna basically copy and create an identical drive. I'm going to copy this one, and this one over to this one. And the way it works is you have one primary partition, then you create an extended partition for the rest of the drive, and then you create the logical partitions. So the Paragon Partition Manager is very useful for that, and now I believe they call it Disk Manager. You can get the professional one. So I'm going to copy. This should be actually pretty quick now. So I'm going to copy these three over. This is just this is not going to be copied over, and I'm not even using on the number one drive. I'm not even using all of the drive. Almost all of it is empty. And notice how small that is, the Windows 7, because I don't really need it. I don't need it, so I don't. Only 80 gigabytes are used, and the rest is free. I'm going to make that slightly bigger. I'm probably going to make that 145 instead of 125, but the rest I'm going to leave the same. So I'm going to copy it over, and then I'm going to reboot into Windows using the SSD. It should run, everything should run correctly, because the SSD is designed to basically mimic a hard drive. That's basically what it's doing, basically mimicking behaving like a hard drive. So see, even it says right there. That's why even though Paragon Partition Manager is from 2011, it still correctly sends to the drive. It still thinks it's a hard drive, because the hard drive the SSDs are designed to mimic a hard drive. So I'm going to copy it over, and then I'm going to reboot into Windows 7. Okay, so I'm still in Partition Manager 11 Professional, and as you can see, I copied the three partitions to the SSD. Now you see the copy command, that create partition there. That's for the extended partition. And then inside the extended partition, you put the other two logical partitions. Now, and as you can see, it's right there. All operations have been finished, so hopefully it'll work. And so you see right there, that's the SanDisk. That's Windows 7 primary partition, and it should be active. It automatically does that. And then you create the extended, and then inside the extended partition, you create the logical partitions. There's my application. Now I like to create two or three partitions per hard drive, because it can protect your data if there's any kind of problem, and that's why I do that. And as you can see there, there's still 142 gigabytes left over. Now that's the end that I talk about. I left 10% unallocated. The experts recommend that you leave some unallocated, so that the SSD can use that to for any kind of worn out memory nodes. And so I actually have 142 gigabytes left over. I don't really need that, so this is what I need. It's 140. I made that slightly bigger. That's the great thing about Partition Manager. You can completely adjust the partitions to any size you want. So I made it 145, so I had a little bit more left over. Instead of 125, it's 145, and then my applications is in the next partition over, and I'm only using 23 gigabytes. And then on my personal files, as I said before, I had to delete a lot of duplicates. I spent a long time deleting duplicate files and moving other files off to another hard drive, and so I only have 14 gigabytes of personal files. So now I'm going to I'm going to disconnect this hard drive right here and leave it in the computer, and just leave it disconnected. And I'm going to connect this, and I'm going to put all the connections back to the way they were before, except that this connection will have the number one connection, this will have none, and we'll see how it works. Okay, so I have replaced the regular drive with an SSD. I've formatted everything. Everything should be okay. Everything should run, hopefully. So this is the first boot you're seeing. And I'm going to go ahead and skip this. Okay, now I've paused it, and there you see right there, the SSD has taken the place of the regular drive. It's done a smart check, and its status is okay. I'm going to do a boot now. Now, hopefully, I guess I have to change the BIOS. Alright, so I'm in the BIOS, and what you have to do this is actually an older type BIOS. I think the newer motherboards will have a different more graphics based, and I believe that I have to change this one, the order of this, to back the way it was before. So that's the first drive. That has to be the second drive, and that's the third drive. I believe that's correct. Okay, I believe that's the correct order. And now the boot device priority is the CD-ROM, which is correct, and P0, which is a SanDisk. Alright, and then you press F10 to save it, and then exit, and now it's going to reboot. Okay, and then it's going to boot. Now hopefully it'll do it right, hopefully. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to time it. It should work correctly. Should be like bleedingly fast, which it is. And you can see there, you can see there, right there, it loaded the drivers, and it says, and you can see there it loaded it. Finished, restart required. So it wants you to restart. So we're going to restart. Okay. Now I'm gonna cut this video. Okay, so I'm going to time it. I'm gonna time this. Okay. Alright, so, and this should be extremely fast. And I can hear the hard drive working. I believe it's just logging in the other drives. Now I set the I offloaded the caches for both Firefox and the caches for both Firefox and Internet Explorer to the second drive. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a check disk. Check. Okay, check. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do a check disk. Okay. And then it'll... Okay, so I say yes. And let's do a reboot. Okay, so let's do a reboot now. It should be pretty fast. Now normally a check disk for a hard drive takes over 2 minutes. So let's see how quick it is. See how quick that is. Now a check disk takes 2 minutes 45 seconds on the hard drive. It should be quite fast. And so far I'm not very impressed with this. In fact, it's moving pretty slow. However, the boot time is pretty quick. Must not be using any kind of driver, enhanced driver. It's already up at 34. Okay. That's pretty quick. The hard drive light is on. That means it's accessing the SSD. You have to look really quick, or just pause the video where it says found no problems. That's what you're looking for. Let's see. Actually pretty slow. Must not have any drivers loaded or something. I'll be testing the okay, so Windows detected files and found no problems. You have to look real quick, otherwise. Okay, and the total check took 1 minute 36 seconds, about 1 minute 35 seconds. So that was actually pretty quick. So it is faster, although not as fast as I thought it would be. And so I'm gonna time this on the boot. Okay. I'm expecting a 45-second boot. Now normally the boot takes on the hard drive takes 1 minute 20 seconds to 1 minute 55 seconds. So let's see how fast this really is. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Wow. It's 37 seconds, 36 seconds. So it went from 1 minute 25 seconds to 36-second boot. And I'll be checking out the other partitions. Okay, the computer is back on the floor and everything has been reassembled. The front cover is back on. This front cover is back on, and the filter, I put the filter back. I had not used the filter in over a year, and I decided to start using it again. It does restrict airflow, so I didn't use it during the summer, but I am using it now because the case was pretty dirty, and it took me longer to clean the case than it did to install the SSD. I am looking for a new case which has a minimum of 4 open 5 1/4 bays, and is 2 inches or at least a minimum of 1 inch longer from front to back, so that it can accommodate the ATX motherboards, because I would like to get a new motherboard, the Gigabyte. The Gigabyte Sniper 5 motherboard, the new one, and also the which has this right here with the USB 2.0 and 3.0 and audio connectors. But I can't. They don't make this anymore. And so I am looking for that. I would encourage the case makers to make this type of case. So with the door, the front door, and also a removable panel here, where the two fans are. There are two. There's an 80 millimeter fan here and an 80 millimeter fan here, and I have the filter, my custom filter, in front of it. And that's why I like this feature, because all the air comes through here and exits out the back. That's why I like this case. A few regarding the cleaning, which is the dust that you saw is pretty much standard for any desktop, and I use this little Dirt Devil, and you can't even get this new anymore. I got it used off eBay, so that's what I recommend to use. The newer ones are junk. So, and I use this, and again I use this. This is very useful. Just don't touch any electronics. Don't get close to any of the electronics when you use this idea here. Otherwise, you might damage it and break them off or something. Now, regarding the SSD, when you run, this is off the hard drive. This is the test off the hard drive. And you'll see that to keep everything the same, I ran 1 at 100 megs, and that's the SSD. This was the test results for the SSD. Don't make this any bigger, because you can wear out the SSD with all these tests. So keep it low. 100 megs is probably optimal one time at 100 megs. And you'll see that I used the E partition. That's the third partition on the SSD. That's where all my files are. The OS is not on there. The application's on there. So if anything bad happens, which it never did, then it only affects my personal files, which I can replace. But there you see. So let me put these together. And there you see the difference. My hard drive was actually incredibly slow. 114, now it's more than twice as fast. And the writes with only 52, and it's 5 times faster. And here it's the same. Now that's sequential. That's not gonna happen a lot, okay? The sequential numbers, that doesn't happen a lot. Even on a hard drive, unless you optimize it all the time, defrag it. Do not defrag your SSD, because you can wear it out. There's a limited number of lifetime of wear writes that are possible, and it doesn't make any difference anyway, because the SSD doesn't have any kind of mechanical device on it, the way an arm and a spinning platter, the way a hard drive does. So it's not going to matter that much. Now, these are the random writes, and you'll see it's 5 times faster. 5 times faster. The same thing with the random reads and the random writes are 5 times faster, and the 4K, the 4K are even is even more dramatic. And there you see the differences. And you really do. The boot time for me today was 32 seconds compared to 1 minute 30 seconds, which was really a drag, really getting on my nerves after a while. This is the result. Now, I mentioned that I had to, because of I'm going to put this up here and cover the old hard drive results. Now, I mentioned before that I had to, in March of 2011, that I had, because of Intel's SATA problems, SATA controller problems, I had to buy, they stopped selling the motherboards in March of 2011, and I had to buy a previous generation, the P7, P55 Asus DE-E. Now, this is the motherboard that I have. The Intel controller has a SATA 2, and these are the results. These are my results, and these are the results from a website with a SATA 3 with the same drive, and you'll see that they're basically twice as fast. Now, there's nothing I can do about that, but I don't think you're going to be able to notice that if you have only a SATA 2. You're not going to really, maybe like a split second, two seconds difference, but I don't think you're going to really notice that. Like when you boot up, instead of taking 32 seconds like it took me, it may take 30 seconds, 29 seconds, something like that. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. I did not run for either my hard drive or the SSD. I did not run the 4K QD32 because the author of CrystalDiskMark, they said that it may interfere with the antivirus, and you have to shut the antivirus off. So I didn't want to do that. And it doesn't matter. It just pretty much shows you the difference. This is SATA 3 from a website, and this is SATA 2 from my SSD. But again, I don't think you're going to notice any difference. Now these are the results for the ATTO, and these two right here. These two right here. This is my hard drive. This is the old hard drive. You see right there, the Seagate, and that's my Asus controller. And again, when you run the ATTO, don't run it too much. For the hard drive, it doesn't matter, but for the SSD, keep it down. Don't run it the way they do it on the website, because you can really kill the number of writes that are left over for yourself. So don't, keep it down. So because every single one of these pairs takes this amount of write. Okay, so every single one of these pairs, I'm pretty sure, takes this amount of write. So keep it down. You don't really need that much anyway. So this was my hard drive, and you'll see here the maximum it reached. Let's go by this, 40 megabytes per second write, and over 44 megabytes per second, and 105 megabytes read. Now let's take a look at the difference here. This is the SSD, and again, keep it down. Don't do too many, otherwise you'll wear out your SSD. Okay, and you see again it's on the E partition, but you see there's a dramatic increase. It's 271 megabytes per second write, and 262 megabytes per second read. Now, this is SATA 2 again, 271 megabytes, 262 megabytes, and you come over here. This is from the website that does the testing. Okay, and notice how they did. If you look here from the website, you see they did 3 tests of 1 gigabyte each. Now I don't recommend you do that because this is not their SSD. That's an SSD they probably get for free. So don't do that to your SSD. See, on mine I kept it 1 in 100 megs, and they 3 at 1 gigabyte each. That's 3 gigabytes for this one. It might be by the pairs, but still, even if it's by the pairs, that's 3 gigabytes for every line. So don't do that to yours. And they did the same thing here. It's 256 megabytes writes for every pair that you see here. So don't do that to your system. But anyway, so here it's 271 megs on mine. That's SATA 2. And here you see here 512. But I don't think you're going to notice any difference when you actually use your computer. You may maybe a second or two off, you know, but if you do a boot faster, even with a SATA 3, if you do a boot faster than 25 seconds, I'd be very surprised. But I haven't really done any research on that, but I'd have to find out. And keep in mind, every system is different because every system has different different programs loaded, and they have to load them up. Okay, this is the SanDisk again, the SanDisk utility, which I installed after I connected the drive. Every SSD is going to say trimmed on there. See right there. This is HD Tune Pro, which I paid for, and you see right there. You see right there. What's right there? It is. You see there? It says trim. Every SSD is going to report that they support trim. But what you want to know is, and every Windows 7 and Windows 8 is going to report on the fsutil command that I showed you. Every Windows 7 and 8 OS is going to report that it's enabled. What you want to know is the controller passing the trim command and the drivers, the controller drivers, on to the SSD. That's what you want to know, and that's what this SanDisk utility is missing. That the Intel utility has a manual trim command where when you click it, it'll pass it on and it will report back if it actually executed the command or not. That's what you want. You don't have to do that past the first day, but you really want to know is it executing the command. This is the SanDisk revision number, and that is not what their website says. Their website says R211. This says 1311, so they need to update. They also need to update their website. So I recommend that SanDisk rewrite their utility and have a so it has a manual trim command, and also that they update their website so they give you the correct revision number. And this is using HD Tune Pro. These are the 3 on the there it is right there. These are the 3 partitions which are on it. Now the reason why you want to have you want to use 3 partitions is so you have you can protect your personal data from any kind of disasters that happen. If something wrong happens, then your personal data won't be corrupted. That's the real reason why you divide into partitions. It's a physical partition which prevents which can help prevent corruption. That's why you want 3 partitions, or maybe at least 2. And also, it's easier to back everything up. It's easier to back everything up when you have 3 partitions. It's quicker. You don't have to always update all 3 of them if you don't want to. And I use Paragon's Partition Manager 11 Professional. I use that, and I increased the size. I decided to increase the size of this partition here to 145 gigabytes. but I kept the other two at 65 gigabytes. And the disk manager, and I used the Paragon's Partition Manager to 11 to Professional to transfer everything over, and it worked very beautifully. It worked very smoothly. I was actually a little surprised that everything worked so smoothly, because it is 2011 and that I bought it, and the SanDisk is I bought it last 2011's Cyber Monday. So, and I got a very good deal off that, and so I'm actually surprised everything worked so smoothly, but it did, because the SanDisk basically is programmed to mimic a hard drive. That's basically why it worked. And I was sweating there for a bit. I was actually dreading this job and actually looking forward to it at the same time. But I was actually sweating a little bit because there were times when during the WinPE Partition Manager, where I booted off the CD, where when it was copying, especially that big partition there, the Windows 7, I was worried that it wasn't really writing all the time. The way the hard drive light was not on all the time, and it would go on and then would stop. It would go off and then would go on and off, but everything copied correctly and beautifully. Okay, so this is what my performance was. This is what my performance was in Windows 7, as you can see here. This is what my performance was with the hard drive. You see there, 5.9. It was very slow, and it was slow, I can tell you that. And this is what the performance is now. This is what the performance is now. And as you can see there, it jumped. So it jumped from 5.9 with the hard drive being the lowest. It always goes by the lowest. It always goes by the lowest, and here it is now. The hard drive is no longer the lowest. The hard drive is actually the fastest, 7.8. And here the graphics are now the slowest. I was thinking about getting. I have a Fermi-based GTX 460 SE, because I don't game with this machine, and so I was thinking about getting a GTX 770, but the NVIDIA never lowered their price to what they promised for the GTX 770s to $329, so I didn't buy it. But what I have, the GTX 460 SE is Fermi based. I was thinking about getting a Kepler so I could render videos faster. One thing I noticed is that I was expecting this also, is that the CPU usage jumps to 100% more often now, because the hard drive is so fast, and that's okay, that's fine, because it's always a 0 anyway, 1 and 0. And you'll see there, I kept super fetch and prefetch enabled. Some people say to disable that. I decided not to, because I have so much RAM. If I disabled superfetch and prefetch, it wouldn't even use the RAM, and I didn't want that, so I just kept it enabled. And you'll see here the drive is new. You look here, look under Smart Attributes, and power on hours, that's hours, power on hours, 8. It's been on for 8 hours. And here it also, if you want to get HD Tune Pro, you look for the SSD under Health, you see there, power on hours, 8. Okay. And there's something also I have to show you regarding. Now this is a screenshot which I'm going to post on Symantec's website. So this, you don't have to see this part, that part on the right. But this is the Windows Resource Monitor. This is a screenshot. Now, I took this screenshot when I was using the hard drive, and you will see right there under System and there's also NIS, that's Norton Internet Security. You see right there, the writes, that's 407,000 writes per second. And these are the and the system has DLLs under it, and it was doing a lot of writes. And you see there on my notes, Superfetch is not doing this. It was Norton Internet Security. Now, and there's nothing I can do about that. I already disabled its idle time optimizer, and also the other, and I maximized the delay timing. I just can't stop it from doing these writes, which is really irritating. Now, how can I tell? How can I tell that this where it says system? How can I tell that it's really Norton Internet Security? Well, what you do is you get process monitor from Sysinternals. Okay, and then you can. So let's go to system, where it says system. Now the PID will change. The PID on that one was 4, but every time you reboot, it changes. It's not going to be the same, but the name will stay the same. So here it is right there. It says, oh, it is, the PID is the same. Okay, system, PID 4, and you look down here. Okay, now there are some other things here. There's a lot of stuff here. Okay, but most of it is Microsoft. Okay, most of this is Microsoft. And I'll make these smaller. Okay. But there's nothing here. There's nothing here that under my looked. I checked every line, and there's nothing here that where it would have it do so many writes. And also you'll see here that NIS is also there. NIS is also there at the same time. But there's nothing here that would do any that many writes. Okay, so here. But then all of a sudden, when you go down, see there's an order by company name. You go down, there it is right there, you see? You find semantics sys files, and the only semantic program that I have installed is Norton Internet Security, and these files here are the only reason I can find that would be doing all these writes. And all the rest of this stuff is Microsoft's file, and there's a few others here, but there's no reason for these to be doing so many writes. So the semantic Norton Internet Security seems to be the culprit for doing all these writes. And now the system process is the only process which has semantic files. All the service hosts, processes do not have any semantic files. This system is the only process which has the semantic files. Now, right after I rebooted into Windows 7 with the SSD, I disabled the indexing on the SSD. I don't use it anyway. I use a program called Search My Files by Nersoft. I highly recommend that instead. It's better, it's more flexible, it's faster. The Search My Files by Nersoft is much better. I use it all the time. So I decided to go ahead and disable this. And I recommend that you disable this before you make the copy over to the from the hard drive to the SSD. Do this while you are using the hard drive, because I disabled this while I was using the SSD, and when I did that, it wrote. After you uncheck this and click apply, it'll come up with a pop-up, and then you click it, and then it'll ask you if you want to do all the subfolders, and you say yes, I want to do all the subfolders in the C partition. And when I did that, it wrote to every single file on the C partition and the D partition also, because that's also on the SSD, and also the E partition, which is also on the SSD, and it wrote to every single file on all three partitions, because I did each of these one by one, and because it has to change the Windows changes the attribute of the file, of every single file, and it took 5 minutes. And that was really irritating, because I don't like to do a lot of writes for the SSD. So I recommend that you do this while you're using the hard drive, before you copy over to the SSD. Also disable system restore. Disable system restore. So on all the partitions that you want to copy from the hard drive to the SSD, do this on the hard drive first, before you make the copy, before you make the transfer, because when you copy it over, Windows gets confused, and I think it leaves leftover files on the other partitions. I don't think it, so, and I'll have to clean those out. On the D partition and the E partition, I think it put leftover files. After you make the transfer and you're using the SSD, then you can go ahead and re-enable System Restore, which is what I did. I'm still using System Restore. The only mistake I did was not disabling it before the copy, but I can fix that. Okay, so I decided to buy. I bought this SanDisk on Cyber Monday 2013, about 60 days ago. And the reason why I bought the SanDisk instead of a Samsung 840 Professional Pro was because the Samsung, if you read the Samsung warranty, they state that if anything goes wrong with their SSD, they may send you a refurb, and I don't want to. If there's any kind of problems, I don't want to get a refurb. They both have 5-year warranties. If you read the warranty, for Samsung on their site, they will mention that they may send you a refurbished SSD. So I didn't want to deal with that, and I want a new one. If there's going to be any kind of problems, I want them to send me a new one. And so far, I've not had any problems. And on the Samsung warranty, on the SanDisk warranty, they don't say anything about a refurb. If you go to www.sandisk.com/WUG, that's sandisk.com/WUG, you will not read anything about them sending you they might send you a refurb. So that's why I decided to get the SanDisk. It also has a 5-year warranty. It is made in China. And I guess everything is made in China. There it is, the 5-year warranty. There's the 5-year warranty, and there's the text right there, WUG. It is made in China, but I guess everything is made in China today. And if you want to read the warranty text, there it is right there. overall, everything went smoothly. I have not gotten any blue screens. I've been using the SanDisk for after I did the transfer over. Everything has been going smoothly. I've not gotten any blue screens. The only problem I really had was I had to change this, which I was using on the hard drive. It's a 90-degree connector. This goes to the hard drive, and this goes to the motherboard. And I had to remove this because there's a bar that goes across on the case, and it was bending it like this, and I didn't like that. I thought it might break the fine wires that are in this, and I shouldn't even be bending it right now. Taking it out, putting my hand in there and pulling. You have to push this. You have to push this to get it off the motherboard, which is also difficult. And I use this, and putting this on the motherboard, I had to use 2 fingers in there, and that was difficult. But otherwise, everything went pretty smoothly. I have lots of these. I have a lot of spares. And again, there are no blue screens. The transfer is going smoothly, and has gone smoothly. And a lot of experts say, well, you should do a fresh install. And that's not really true. You don't have to do that. Doing a fresh install would have taken me probably 2 weeks to configure everything, install all my applications, everything, and to configure it, to tweak it, and everything. And I would have probably tweak all the applications. I would have probably taken 2 weeks, and I just didn't want to go through that. And I'm satisfied with the results that I've gotten, and so I'm happy with the way it's working. Everything is going great. It's very fast. The system is now very fast. There is one thing I want to mention. This is called DU meter, and there are some applications which are not really designed for SSDs. This is DU meter 5.0. This is not really designed for SSDs. It works great. It'll work great. The problem is that it does a lot of writes. It basically, there's no way to shut off your usage tracking on the internet. That's what this is. This basically tells you what your throughput is, going download and upload. This tells you what your internet usage is, and it keeps a log file, and it writes to the drive every depending on what your usage is, every few seconds or every minute, and I didn't want it writing to the SSD. On the hard drive it doesn't matter, but because they're very small writes, but on the SSD I didn't want it doing that. So what I did was I edited the registry, and I made it so it would write to my number 2 hard drive. So right there, that's the F partition. That's the number 2 hard drive, and that's it right there. DU meter. That's the database file where it tracks your usage. It tells you what your how many bytes you're uploading and downloading, and there it is right there. And that is actually that's the most recent. Okay, right there. See, I had to press refresh, and you see right there, 852. That's very recent. That's a recent write. And I had to edit the registry so that this little program called DU meter, instead of writing to the C partition, it just writes to the F partition in the base folder, so I can keep track of it. It's easier. So it writes to the base folder. I changed the registry, and it writes to the base folder now for the second drive. And also, I moved. I already had this done before I even made the change from hard drive to SSD. That's my page file, and you should do not disable your page file. The system needs it to write dump files. if there's any kind of error or blue screen. So, and I keep it. I made the range from 2 gigabytes to 4 gigabytes, and you can see there, because I have so much RAM, because I have 16 gigabytes of RAM, it doesn't even use this at all. This is probably just a marker, and it's a marker which it builds, which it just creates when you boot up. But I've never seen this get bigger than this, and it just I keep this on the second hard drive, on the number 2 drive, which is now the first hard drive. This is now this is the first hard drive, which is the number 2 drive in the system. The SSD is the number 1 drive, and so, and this right here, this program also writes on a regular basis. See the timer 60 minutes, but this program also writes a database file. It writes the S.M.A.R.T attributes. It keeps a log file, and it writes to the SSD. And I'm going to try to edit the registry so that it does not write to the SSD. Instead, I'll have it write to the base folder for the first hard drive. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm not sure about this one, but I'll make its own folder here, and for the first hard drive, I'll try to do it so it doesn't do that. See, I made the timer in 60 minutes. It used to be every 4 minutes, but since it's writing to the SSD, I didn't want it to do so many writes. So I have to do something about that. I have to change that. So I am satisfied with the results that I'm getting, and this is my system. It is a 5-monitor system, and it's really awesome. It's great. It's great to use, and I never run out of any kind of screen space.